Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our main topic today. Well, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi witnessed the inauguration of Egypt's future project for agricultural production, which is considered one of the most important mega projects launched by the state. The project is a part of a new data agricultural project located on Cairo Dab'a Road, and this project aims at boosting the chances of production and also providing a high quality agricultural products at suitable prices for Egyptian citizens. Well, to shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to have with us today our dear guest, Dr. Raouf Gaafar, economic expert. Good morning, sir.
Morning to you, Amal.
Well, sir, could you give us your insight concerning the importance on the economic level of this project, as the President inaugurated it yesterday, the project for agricultural production?
I think this is a major part of a very ambitious program for the increasing, as you rightly said, the production of food in Egypt, especially strategic commodities like wheat and others, cereals particularly, just to aim at reaching self-sufficiency, inshallah, very soon, and not to depend on foreign suppliers,
Yes,
which can, of course, represent a problem. I mean,
yes,
we have experienced, unfortunately, a series of events
and challenges
of course
that are facing not only Egypt,
the whole world, of course, and we're a part of it, and our really chronic problem was that we first of all, we are increasing in population, and this is something
yes,
we have to find a way to control, but the major part was that we depend
yes,
on the importation, mainly on the strategic goods. I mean,
yes,
we import, I think, 70 or 80% of our needs, particularly from wheat. And
yes,
we know how Egyptian cannot live without
the wheat, of
wheat
course,
and bread and what have you.
yeah,
So this might put us in a nasty situation, and of course our administration, our president, would not want to do that. So lesson learned, we have to depend on ourselves and start producing our own wheat. And I think that this project is, as I said, is an important part of a big, huge mega project for the reclamation of in excess of 2 million fadans in different places.
yes,
And I think this the phase that our president inaugurated yesterday or the day before, I don't, was the biggest of them all. We have seen him inaugurate Toshka project some weeks ago on a smaller scale, but this it involves in excess of 1 million fadans,
yes,
and this is huge. Of course, it's not only the area, but it involves new technologies as far as energy is concerned, as far as water and irrigation methods are concerned. So it is a model of a modern project for the better of the Egyptian people, of course.
yes. So, Dr. Gaafar, from the points that you have just mentioned, that this project also aims to claim over 1 million fadans that are meant to bridge the gap between the production and importation.
Absolutely.
So, in addition to achieving food security and also self-sufficiency of the strategic commodities in Egypt. Why is it very important in this stage that Egypt have a self-sufficiency for strategic or for the commodities in
I mean, there is a famous saying that says something like that. He who owns his food owns his fate and decision.
Yes,
And
yes.
so we cannot, our president, our administration would not accept that we are at the mercy of, I
Any
don't
other
want to say
country.
other
Yes,
country, but
yes.
at least at the mercy of events.
So the president
can happen.
felt that it's essential in this stage.
As a matter of fact, this policy started years ago, maybe before the pandemic and before of course, the very unfortunate events.
So the president was making a
Yes.
schedule and was ready for everything.
Yes, this was a study, this was a vision that eventually we should at least produce 60, 70, 80, hopefully reach 100%, but at least aim at 100% and reach as high as possible. It has been studied well and implemented, as I said, years ago. But now that these most unfortunate events took place, it made our country sort of go quicker on the implementation of such huge and important projects.
Yes, so Dr. Gaafar, during the inauguration, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi have said that the cultivation, the cost of the cultivation in Egypt's future project of agriculture is the most expensive in the Nile Delta zone.
Yes.
Could you elaborate on this?
Yes, of course.
Point?
First of all, it involves land reclamation, and this costs a lot of money. It involves using very sophisticated and modern irrigation methods, which again cost a lot of money. I mean, things are getting more and more expensive everywhere. So we are not an exception. But although it costs very high, there is a will to go ahead and continue this project because the cost effectiveness here is very important. I mean, the welfare, the well-being of our people is more important than the cost. So although, as a matter of fact, through the years, the last years, having gone through the economic reform, it costed a lot of money, it costed a lot of sacrifice, but Egyptian people are wise and they understand. These are for the benefit of Egypt in general, and if we suffer a little bit today, tomorrow we will gain the fruits of what we are doing today. So, I mean, this came according to a very well-studied vision, and it was simply sped up a little bit because of course, what happened between Russia and Ukraine and affected, of course, our provisions and our supplies, particularly from wheat.
Yes. So, Dr. Gaafar, also the President urged the charity organizations to support farmers by providing them with high-quality stock in order to double their income and boost the production. So how do you see this important point?
This again was a conviction. It was very obvious, very clear, and it had to happen. I mean, we would not ask the government to do everything. I mean, they don't they have the capacity, and moreover, they should not actually. I mean, let us have our government do the infrastructure to pave the road. But as far as the investments are concerned, as far as the interaction between different Egyptians are concerned, this is important to involve the NGOs, the private sector, and what have you. And this is what the plan is for the next few years, to have a bigger involvement of the private sector in the production and in the decent life of most Egyptians. And this comes very much within the same lines you just mentioned.
Yes. So, Dr. Gaafar, how was the current global crisis or challenges that face the whole world, not only in Egypt, like, for example, the coronavirus pandemic, and also the Russian-Ukraine war, showed that Egypt is very successful in facing or preparing itself for any challenges, and is going on with all its mega projects, and especially with the economic reforms, despite all the challenges that Egypt is facing, like any other country in the world, of course.
A very true fact. I mean, we have, as Egyptians, as president, as administration, thought of the economic reforms long before anything of these unfortunate events happen. I mean, long before the pandemic.
Yes.
We started our reform program 7 years ago, long before we knew it was coming. But this was a very clear and thoughtful vision, looking at the, again, well-being of the Egyptian citizens in particular. And this is the major concern of our administration and our president. So we started on our reform. We have given the utmost importance and priority to the mega projects, the infrastructure projects, and I mean, we could see what happened in the energy, for instance, sector, development of gas fields and oil and what have you. We can also admire what happened with the energy sector as far as electricity is concerned, after being a country that has a problem with electricity.
Yes.
And now we are having a surplus of electricity, and we are joining the grids of other countries because we have more than what we need, and we can export electricity. So again, this we can all see the network of roads that were and
Yes.
highways that were built everywhere in Egypt. We can see the new cities that are going on everywhere.
Yes.
So I mean, these were all mega infrastructure projects that led to attracting investments and developing the economy to the better.
Yes.
And it represented a very solid base. And this is exactly what kept us going through the pandemic and kept our economy growing on the positive
Yes.
side through the very hard times of the COVID-19. Then, most unfortunate again, this war, this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. And unfortunately, Ukraine being one of the major suppliers of grains, not only for Egypt, but for the whole world, of course, such a long conflict. We never thought it would take that long.
Yes.
I mean, we were under the impression that it's only a matter of days or maybe a very few weeks before they settle the situation, but unfortunately it's still going on, affecting the chains of supplies, not only for Egypt but everywhere.
Yes.
We've seen Western Europe suffer from the gas supplies. We have seen most of the countries suffering from the lack of grains, of wheat, coming from the two major producers and suppliers. What made the situation again a little bit worse, that most of the other countries that are producing and exporting such commodities and products, have refrained to export and thought they would keep their own production. God knows what can happen during the coming months. So
Yes.
again, this made the situation a little bit more complicated, I should say. So again, it sped up the decision of the president and the government to go ahead with the project that was planned long ago, but we have to go a little bit quicker so that we reach a bigger production of particularly the strategic goods. Unfortunately, we are a country that depends on a lot of imports. Of course, between two big brackets, we have to say that even through the hard times of the pandemic, we have kept our, not only kept our production, but we increased our production aiming to exportation, and we have increased our exportation, and this was something really extraordinary. We are, of course, aiming by increasing the production to increase the exports, but again, most important strategic aim is to self-satisfy ourselves as far as food is concerned. We know that our government has enough reserves to cover our consumption for months to come, but again, it would be even much, much better to have our own products that cover our own needs.
Yes, yes.
Sure.
Dr. Gaafar, during the inauguration of this mega agricultural project, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi gave his remarks and directives in order to finalize the remaining stages or phases of this project. Also, he was keen on finishing or giving his directives to finish the projects for Toshka, also projects in Beni Suef and in Minya. How do you see the importance of this?
I mean, as we mentioned, we are talking about 2 million plus acres to be reclaimed and to be cultivated. So this, as I said, it represents almost 40%, 30 to 40% of the existing land, arable land. So huge, huge, huge project. As you said, it involves a lot of governorates in Upper Egypt and in the Delta. As you said, Toshka started, was inaugurated, the first phase of Toshka, and it will continue in other governorates in Upper Egypt, Sohag, Minya. There are other lots of lands that will be a part of this huge project. But this Dab'a thing is the biggest. It represents 50% of the whole project. As you said, 1,050,000 fidans. Huge, huge, huge effort that will cost a lot of money. But again, money is not the issue here. It's the end result that really matters. Directives were clear. We have to go on quicker and quicker. We have to implement and finish these projects very, very soon. And mind you, when you're talking a project of this magnitude, you are not talking an agricultural project. You are talking a full, integral, huge creation of a new community. Because, of course, people who will be working, of course, it will, goes without saying, create a lot of jobs, which again is one of the aims of our government, to create jobs and to lower the unemployment rate. But on top of that, it will create other communities. People will working on these projects will live there, so we will create communities, villages, towns, schools. I mean, we are developing ourselves everywhere. And again, this is part of the global initiative of decent life. It will not only involve the old and poor governorates and villages, etc., but it will help again develop the new communities that will be created after such huge projects.
Yes. Dr. Gaafar, why is it important to achieve the optimum management of energy and water resources, and at the same time guarantee the high quality of agricultural production?
First of all, we have to adapt the new agricultural methods. We cannot go with the traditional irrigation methods, which are now obsolete. Nobody uses them. So no, we have to modernize ourselves. We have to develop ourselves, and we have to reach what the world is applying now. We have to apply.
Yes.
And mind you, we are applying the most modernized and up-to-date irrigation methods. We are saving water by doing that. We are not only producing enough energy, but we are again moving into the clean energy. And this again is one of the major objectives of the government, is to move into clean energy. So I mean, we are working in parallel on all lines, aiming once again to the betterment of the Egyptian citizen at the end of the day.
Yes, I thank you very much for your valuable information.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Have a
joining
nice
us today.
Thank you, my dear.
Thank you, Dr. Raouf Gaafar, the economic expert. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me in this segment. I leave you with the rest of the segments on The Breakfast Show. My name is Amal Mukhtar.